Welcome to another edition of the 49er GoldCast.
San Francisco, are you ready? Boom! Welcome to another edition of the 49er GoldCast. We are the voice of the faithful. I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis I, baby.
And our esteemed co-host,
Old Man Davis.
Boom! All right, gentlemen, here we go. This week, July the 4th, the signing of all signings, Kevin Durant left OKC to join the Golden State Warriors in what was a shock to a lot of people, myself included. I was pretty shocked. I had a feeling that it was going to happen, but it did. And this kind of really is almost like the part two of the last podcast we had when we were talking about where Bay Area sports is at. Because the last time we got a free agent at this level, to bring it all the way full circle, was Deion Sanders. Prime time, Neon Deion, when he signed with the San Francisco 49ers in 1994. Basically, was that 22 years ago? 22 years ago, he signed, and he was first ballot Hall of Famer, greatest cornerback to ever play the game. He was the biggest guy on the free agent market at the time, and we signed him. Now, 22 years later, and after many other attempts, and I know, Raymond, you're going to talk about another big free agent signing that we had similar that year, although not quite at the same level. We've attempted to get other guys. Even the Niners tried to get Peyton Manning a couple years back when he was a free agent before he signed with Denver. But this is the biggest guy we've had. And again, I think it really speaks to the level of where Bay Area sports are now, is that, again, we have signed someone at that level, but for the first time in 22 years. So I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on it. What do you guys think about the signing, and what does it say about where Bay Area sports is at? Raymond, we'll start with you.
I think Kevin Durant's obviously huge. Amazingly excited because of the implications and what the Warriors are going to be able to do now offensively. It basically changes the whole landscape of what they want to do offensively and defensively, because they gave up 6 guys to get Kevin Durant, and they re-signed a couple of guys that were already on the roster, and they've already got they got a center, Zaza Pachulia, they got David West. But I mean, like you mentioned, Deion Sanders, the year before that, in 1993, the San Francisco Giants picked up Barry Bonds, who had already had an MVP under his belt, already had all-star ballots under his belt, and was coming over to San Francisco. And that, of course, would be the beginning of his legendary run in San Francisco, you know, the beginning of the rest of his career, you know, albeit controversial towards the end, a huge signing. Nonetheless, that would also change sort of the direction of where that team was going, and also changed their degree of competitiveness, you know, going forward as well. They would make a World Series appearance, numerous playoff appearances, but the team was definitely kind of re-gearing from the late 80s run that they had in 89. It's definitely something to take notice of. I mean, as far as Bay Area sports history is concerned, just because players like Durant don't just go anywhere, and they certainly make an impact wherever they go. I mean, LeBron James made an impact in Miami. We all know how that went, and he equally made an additional impact when he went back to Cleveland. So we can only surmise what this Durant move will make, you know, in addition to Curry, Thompson, Green, that team with Kerr. So it's huge. It's exciting, and I can't wait to see them play. We normally talk Niner football, but in regards to Bay Area sports, it's unprecedented.
Well, and that's what we've kind of been talking about with the offseason, is just kind of the relevancy. I mean, Cueto signing to the Giants was huge. Smarja signing to the Giants was huge. How do you feel, Old Man Davis? Do you agree? I mean, I feel like this kind of further cements what we've been talking about, the relevancy of Bay Area sports and where we're at. This has become a destination spot, at least for baseball and basketball at the moment. It's become a destination spot for premier athletes.
I couldn't agree with you more. Number 35, Kevin Durant, now making the Golden State Warriors his home. Oakland, San Francisco, wherever it be in the upcoming years. We see a lot of talent, not only in the front 5, but hopefully along the bench with any future signings. And if not, then it's definitely worth the experiment, if not bold prediction, of getting back into the finals for next season. I can only just say it's a great opportunity for both Kevin and the Warrior organization. I thought I'd mention to you, Rudy, let's take Deion Sanders out of that historical 49er free agency pick, and let's add Ken Norton Jr., a real Hall of Famer, a real 49er, and now our current Oakland Raiders, soon-to-be Super Bowl champs, linebacker coach.
Oh, wow. Man, you can tell the season's about to start, can't you, Ray?
It started.
Right there. Shots fired across the bay. Shots fired. You heard it here on the GoldCast first. Shots fired. Yes, definitely would never downgrade or have anything bad to say about Ken Norton Jr. and his relevancy to the 49ers and to the Dallas Cowboys, similar to Deion Sanders. But the thing about what makes, I think, Deion different from even a Barry Bonds. So let's take Barry Bonds, for instance. Barry Bonds has had a controversial tenure here in SF, and he is so marginalized. You either love him or you hate him. And I feel like his reputation in San Francisco is forever tarnished. Now, Deion,
but even the Giants' recognition of him is very marginalized. Like they have statistics and stuff up there, like plaques and stuff, but they weren't necessarily too eager to invite him to the coaching staff or anything like that. He's actually the hitting coach on the opposite side of the coast for the Miami Marlins.
Yeah, we're talking about Bonds. Sorry, it almost sounded like you were talking about Sanders, who also was signed by the Giants briefly. But exactly. Now, and it's not like San Francisco holds all this reverence for Deion Sanders, because they really don't. You know what I mean? But the point, I think, more than anything, is in terms of if we're just looking at the career paths of those two athletes. Sanders is more decorated. He has championship rings. Bonds does not. Sanders, regardless of how short his tenure was in San Francisco, is generally beloved by his former teams. He doesn't he doesn't have a PED charge hanging over his head or PED accusation. And he is basically regarded as one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest cornerback of all time. And that was actually
statistically, that was his best year ever.
Was with the Niners.
Yes.
Boom. There it is. So I feel like, while we've had some big signings in the past, I feel like the closest would have been Peyton Manning a couple years back if Harbaugh would have been successful in getting him. That would have been the next best athlete since Deion. But I feel like Kevin Durant, since Deion, Kevin Durant is arguably first ballot Hall of Famer, in the top 5 best players at his position right now in the NBA. Argue top 5 just best players in the NBA, period. He was the 2013-2014 MVP right before Steph Curry. This was the guy. He was the dude. And now we have him. I can't really think of a bigger signing. Can you guys think of something close? Barry Bonds, Deion? Now, I don't even think Cueto is as close, because these guys are on a level, all three of them, Bonds included.
Cueto only made one. He had his World Series run with the Kansas City Chiefs, but before that, he's won 20 games. He had one All-Star appearance under his belt. Regarded as a great player and a strong acquisition, but not necessarily he hadn't cemented this huge legacy up to this point. He just made some, he had some good years and performed well, on the biggest stage. But other than that, he wasn't like a Bonds or a Barry Sanders or a Deion Sanders.
Oh man, Davis, can you think of anyone that was on this level? I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure Kevin Durant is the biggest thing we've had since Deion Sanders.
On the other side of the spectrum, Reggie Bush is signing and probably one of the worst 49er season performances ever.
You son of a bitch.
Sooner like to forget that one.
I know. As you can see, GoldCast faithful, we are gearing up for the season, and Old Man Davis is already swinging. By the way, just to talk on a little bit, I think the 49ers are going to be a little bit better than people thinking about. That's a conversation we're saving for a very GoldCast coming up in the very near future, but I think they're going to be better than people expect. Would you agree with that, Ray?
Definitely. And we'll get into details on why and how. There's certainly a lot of material out there right now that also is kind of projecting the same notion too. And there's a lot of similarities between what those writers / pundits think as well and to what we think.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that one, Old Man Davis. Because the 49ers are coming, baby. We're coming.
I'm going to have me some fun. I'm going to have me some fun.
That's right.
In the last 20-odd years, you've got Deion, Bonds, and Kevin Durant as the 3 major signings in all 3 respective sports. We tried to get Dwight Howard a while back. Warriors tried to get Dwight. That fell through. 49ers tried to get Peyton Manning. Yeah, I know. We tried to get Peyton on the 49ers. Tried to get Dwight to the Golden State Warriors. Almost traded Klay Thompson for Kevin Love. And then Jerry West put the kibosh on that. I'm trying to think of what other... The Giants did try to get Greinke, and they tried to get Lester a couple years earlier. Yeah, they went for those. Both really, really good pitchers. Yeah, I'm trying to think of who. I'm sure there were others in the past. But the 49ers were so irrelevant, and the Giants were kind of really up and down, and the Warriors were kind of middle tier team for a long, long time. It's not like we were a destination spot for anybody for the longest time, especially through the mid 90s through the mid 2000s. All of our teams were kind of up and down and scratching and sniffing at the playoffs, but not really always necessarily in a position to go further than the playoffs.
Let's just not try to forget that a lot of the Warriors' activity and transaction has been mostly trades of big names. And hardly ever was there as big of a signing as Kevin Durant in quite some time.
Kevin Durant, I think the thing about Kevin Durant that is the most exciting is it again speaks to something that I've been talking about a lot, which is the relevancy of Bay Area sports. Where we are in this decade, we have basically, in my opinion, we have taken the throne from Boston. And it remains to be seen how many rings we can win in the Big Three for the remainder of the next 4 years. But as it stands right now, we have been the most dominant sports city, sports area of the decade. The Giants, the Warriors, and the 49ers have had more glory. They really have. You know, I mean, if you think even the 49ers, they've won to more NFC championships than any other team this decade so far. Haven't they?
Yeah, I would say so.
Except maybe the Patriots, maybe the Pats.
Well, the Pats are over a longer stretch of time. They fall into the same category as the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, well, they also remind me of the 80s Niners. Were dominant in one decade and managed to eke another one out in the following decade, very similar to what we did, you know, almost identical.
For shizzle dizzle.
Almost identical. But, I mean, it just speaks to the relevancy, and I'm really excited. I think this is a lot about where Bay Area sports is. I was very surprised and happy to see that the only person that defended us was Bill Simmons yet again, because, as we mentioned in the last podcast, we have no journalists, nobody on a national level. We had to have someone from Boston stick up for us. I don't know if you guys have heard his last podcast, but Bill Simmons greatly defended Kevin Durant and had the most relevant things to say in terms of goes, maybe he was just tired. He'd been there for 9 years. You know, maybe he was just tired of playing with Westbrook. Maybe he just wanted to be in a bigger city. Maybe he just wanted to be with a better coach and a better team. Maybe he wanted to be with a team that spent money. All of those things were probably in play. He said, I think there's a lot of factors into it. I'm like, finally, someone speaking from a logical standpoint, like this whole ridiculous thing about Kevin Durant being a traitor and Kevin Durant not being true to his team or not being loyal or he was being influenced by other people. I don't understand what's so crazy about the best player available in the draft wanting to go to the best team in the hopes of winning the most. I don't really know what's more American than that. I feel like that is the absolute heartbeat of America.
Let's just remember that this is a 2-year deal with a 1-year player option.
Yep.
So Kevin knows just as well as the Warriors know, as the Warrior fan should know, that all will be done by the end of next season. Whether the championship title goes to the Warriors, whether Kevin wants to make a home permanent for the rest of his career in the Bay Area, or whether he just wants to take a ring and move on elsewhere, or even worse, it's a dud for both parties, and nothing gets accomplished, and he goes back to either OKC or sign some other organization that thinks that they can win with him.
Well, you know, everyone was freaking out, and, I mean, there's no guarantee that... Hey, Kevin Durant's going to go play in the Summer Olympics, which I'm not a big fan of, but, you know, who's to say he doesn't get hurt over there? God forbid. Who's to say Steph Curry doesn't get hurt in the first game of the season, and that's it? He's out for the rest of the year. There's no guarantees. It's not. These guys still have to win 82 games. They have to remain healthy, which Golden State Warriors have remained remarkably healthy in the last couple of years. There is no guarantee that any of this even sees an entire season. I hope it does. Oh, my God, I hope it does, by all means. But there's no guarantee.
Yeah. There was no guarantee Latrell Sprewell was going to choke out P.J. Carlissimo.
There was no guarantee that Hulk Hogan was going to turn heel and join the NWO. There was no guarantee.
There was no guarantee that Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to come back for Predator 2. In fact, he didn't. Danny Glover did.
He didn't, exactly.
And there was no guarantee.
There was no guarantee that we'd be the number one greatest San Francisco podcast for the 49ers in the world, which we are. Final thoughts.
We ain't seen nothing yet, that's for sure. We thought Golden State was amazing. We ain't seen nothing yet.
This is by far a great deal. But this is history being made in what's taken place in the last 5 years of Warrior history, okay? And as the Cleveland Cavaliers are setting themselves up to defend their title next season, and this would just make great playoff viewership for fans alike.
I'm okay with Durant playing the Olympics too, because the very next year he was completely fine that next year in 2013-14. That was when he won the MVP. He came back the very next year and won the MVP.
Sure. That's true. You know, the Giants right now have one of the best records in baseball. Ray, do they still have the best record in baseball as of today?
Yeah.
They swept the Diamondbacks today.
They won a one-hitter by Madison Bumgarner.
I can never remember a time when just year-round we had this much excitement happening all year round from all of our teams. It's the greatest era for Bay Area sports that I've ever seen. It makes the 2012 loss hurt that much more, and I'm sorry to bring it up and kind of put a downer on it, but I can't help it. But I am so excited for the future of Bay Area sports, and I think we're just in a golden age, and you kind of got to just soak this in because, you know, once it's gone, who knows? It could be gone for 50 years. We may not live to see the next one.
And hopefully it continues on year after year over what we can say a decade long of Bay Area sports notoriety and supremacy, so that nationally the American citizens of this country will be able to give us our propers as a legitimate region of professional sports.
Absolutely. Hey, right now it's the Bay Area against the world, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. We're good at it. We're good at it. Raymond, where can they find us?
You can find us on all social media. You can like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/49ersGoldCast. You can follow us on Twitter at 49ersGoldCast, as well as subscribe to us via iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, you name it, we are there.
Subscribe, like, and follow. Subscribe, like, and follow.
Wash, rinse, repeat. You can follow me on Twitter at Ray Solis. And brother, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Rudy Solis III, RUDY SOLIS 3 RD, Rudy Solis III. Old Man Davis, where can they find you?
You can find me on wikipedia.org. Type in Al Davis.
Boom. There it is. So concludes another edition of the 49er Goldcast. We are the voice of the faithful. I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis the First, baby.
And our esteemed co-host,
Old Man Davis.
Boom! We'll see you next time. Same Goldcast time, same Goldcast channel. No, don't think. That's my job. Boom, that's it.
But shizzle dizzle.
Done.